Have you ever wanted to become an automotive YouTuber? It's actually easier than you might expect, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Welcome back, guys. My name is Sean McKellar and I've been running this YouTube channel for about 2.5 years now. And during that time, I have amassed around 22,000 subscribers. Now look, that is not the most successful YouTube channel in the world, but over that time, I have learned a thing or two about running a YouTube channel, and I'm going to try and impart that to you in this video. So what exactly do you need in order to get started? Well, the first and obvious answer is equipment, but that is not the first thing you need to think about. The first thing is yourself, because in order to run a YouTube channel, you need to have a really thick skin when you're reading the comments section. There's going to be criticisms, there's going to be haters, there's going to be downright disrespectful people coming at you left, right, and center. And if you're not in the correct mindset, it is really going to get you down and affect you mentally. So it's really important, I think, to be comfortable with who you are as a person. I mean, take me for example, right? When I started this channel, I was in my mid-30s and I still am. I'm a middle-aged man, I've got a dad bod, I've got male pattern baldness. But now that I am in middle age, I've really come to terms with who I am as a person, and I really don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. So really, I think you have to have a similar mindset if you're going to become a YouTuber. You're going to have to expect that there will be people in the comment section criticizing things about yourself that you already knew about, but also other things that you had absolutely no idea about. You see, when you pass someone in the street and they look at you, they're making judgments about you all the time, and it's going to be things that you didn't even realize people were judging you about until you read the comments. So really, yes, the comment section does bring out the best in people, but also the worst in people. And it really depends what you look like and what you sound like. If you're someone who stands out in the crowd, you know, if you're very skinny, if you're very fat, if you've got dreadlocks, if you're bald, if you've got, I don't know, just anything about you that is sort of out there and not usual when it comes to what the average person looks like, well, people are going to focus on that, and you're really going to hear about it in the comment section. So really, that is the very first thing you need to think about and be comfortable with. In the end, most of the things that I was worried about, the baldness, the body shape, I rarely get any comments about that. So it really is surprising. Most of mine were to do with my voice and how I pronounce certain words because I'm from Australia. So you are going to get ignorant people who are saying, you're pronouncing this word wrong, why are you doing this, why do you clap your hands on your lap every time you're talking, and things like that. And really, you just either have to laugh or you just have to think maybe that person's just having a bad day. I just did it again. So there's going to be lots of things that you're going to learn about yourself by looking back on the footage that you've recorded. But yes, we're all in the same boat, so that is the very first point you need to consider. Second up is the equipment. Now, the first thing you need to consider is your camera, and luckily in 2021, we all have amazing cameras right in our pocket thanks to our smartphones. So there are actually many YouTubers who just film straight off their phone. You can get a tripod mount that'll hold a phone, or you can get phone-specific tripods as well, I believe. I personally don't like to go this route because I don't want to carry multiple phones. I want to keep my phone for communicating. I don't want to wear the battery down. I don't want it to become super hot when it's filming. So I do not use my phone for filming. I keep notes on here, scripts, things like that. So what I did back in the day was purchase a Canon G7X Mark II point and shoot camera. This is a dead set, simple, small camera to use, and it's got a really decent zoom on it as well. The Canon G7X Mark III, which is the successor to this, also does 4K. This one only does 1080. But I film a lot of my videos in 1080p anyway because it's really a subjective thing. A lot of people watch YouTube on their phones, and I'm really not a believer that 4K is absolutely necessary. If you can get really good quality 1080p footage, it is absolutely going to be enough. Because as soon as you step up to 4K, you're going to have file sizes that are 4 times the size. You're going to need a beefier computer to run it and also more hard disk to store it. So yes, you kind of quadrupling the size of your data and also the processing power and everything that goes along with it. So that is the one thing. You're going to need a really good camera or a really good phone, somewhere to mount it. If I turn this camera on, I can actually show you my current setup. So you can see my Canon DSLR 200D camera just sitting over there on a tripod. It's probably about 5 or 6 meters away. And as a result, the audio which comes from the microphone on that camera is going to sound absolutely terrible. So it's really important to understand that yes, the camera and the video quality is very important, but also sound is equally, if not more important. So I had the camera side of things sorted out and I got a Rode SmartLav microphone. This is a little lavalier mic that can clip to your shirt. The cable can run down straight into the headphone jack of your phone. Now, a lot of phones don't have headphone jacks, so you can actually get a version of this which plugs into a little personal audio recorder, such as the Zoom H1, which I currently use at the moment. I've got the Zoom H1 here in my pocket, got the little headphone jack cable running all the way up here to the lavalier microphone. So yes, it is very important. It's got a muff, sort of a wind blocker here on it as well, because there is actually a bit of wind today. So that really helps to cut down on the wind noise. You can hear me nice and clearly. And if I turn this off and just hear the audio on the camera right now, it is going to sound. So yes, if you're filming on a phone or you're filming on any camera, do not rely on the onboard microphone. Get a lavalier mic like this. They're very cheap. I think it was only 20 or 30 bucks for either the smartphone version or the regular 3.5mm jack version, which can plug into the audio recorder. It has really got its work cut out for it at the moment because of the wind. But you can't see because I don't have hair, so trust me, it's windy. So now that you've got your video and your audio sorted out, if you're a car YouTuber, you also need in-car shots as well. So there are various suction cup mountings you can get for chunky SLR cameras like the 200D. I don't like to do that because it's adding complexity, it's adding extra equipment. So I bought a GoPro. So this is just a regular GoPro Hero, which was a very cheap 1080p version that was sold about 2 years ago. And I simply ran with this. You can get a suction cup mount for them and use the little GoPro included arms to sort of mount that camera onto the suction mount and get it pointing in the direction you want. So really those three items are the bare necessities. If you're starting out as an automotive YouTuber, you're going to need a camera, you're going to need audio, and you're going to need probably a GoPro camera as well. And from there, things can sort of step up exponentially. You can have multiple GoPros. I would also recommend you can get an LED lamp. So this is an LED light, I'll turn it on. It has GoPro, you probably can't see it in the sun, but it has GoPro mounting points. So you can put your GoPro suction cup on the windscreen. This can then mount to that, and then your GoPro can then mount to the mounting which is on the bottom of this. So you end up with this fairly tall sort of arrangement hanging off your windscreen. Or you can run two separate suction mounts, put this on one, put your camera on the other, and you're away. Wearing the same microphone in the car because there is a lot of noise inside cars when you're driving. So more often than not, when I'm editing the footage, which is filmed from driving, I actually won't use the audio off the GoPro, I'll use the audio off this because it is much clearer. So I've got a camera, I've got a mic, I've got a GoPro, I've got a couple of GoPros now. And from there you can also step up. I also bought a drone. Back in the day, it was the DJI Spark. This was a sort of $899 drone. Came with a couple of batteries and chargers and a controller and everything. Right now, it's currently the DJI Mini series, Mavic Mini, whatever they call it. I think it's the Mini 2. It's available for a similar price. I don't think a drone is really necessary for automotive videos, but I use this thing for cinematic shots, kind of flying around the car. That's probably what I use it for sort of 99% of the time. You can get some sort of drive-by shots and panning overhead and all that sort of thing, but I film videos by myself. So this drone does have some sort of automated features where it can follow things, follow objects. So it can follow you if you're running, it can follow a car if it's driving up to probably 40 or 50 Ks an hour. So once you got the gear, it's all about finding good places to film. So at the moment, I'm just sitting in an industrial estate. And you want to set up so that you're sort of facing the sun, so that you're well illuminated, the car is nice and bright. And it's really just working out how to frame your shots as well. You want to take up most of the screen that's available, and one trick you can use here is actually, for me, I output my videos in 1080p, but I film often these days in 4K thanks to my camera upgrade. So you can film in 4K, and that allows you to blow the footage up double and still have 1080p quality, if that makes sense, because a 4K frame of video is basically made up of 4 1080p segments. So that means you can basically blow it up double and you'll still have 1080p quality. So that means I can zoom out a little bit, I can film this whole frame, and then later in post-production in my video editing software, I can sort of zoom it in a tad so that it fills the entire frame. That is a really cool trick, but it does mean you have to film 4K files, which are bigger, which have a bigger impact on your editing machine. Speaking of editing, I actually use Adobe Premiere, and it's probably one of the better video editing softwares available for Windows machines. If you've got a Macintosh, there is Final Cut, which is arguably one of the best video editing softwares in the world. I've never used it, but a lot of people rave about it. But the thing about Adobe Premiere is it is very expensive. It is a subscription-based model. You have to pay around $100 Australian per month to get a couple of apps from the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. But I've gotten used to that software, and the 3D camera I use, the 360 camera I use relies on it. So I'm kind of locked in that regard. But if you're just starting out, I would recommend some other software. Do your research. There's Sony Vegas, there's DaVinci Resolve, which is up there as far as ability goes compared to Adobe Premiere Pro. But there are free versions available of that. And I think there is a steep learning curve, but it's really up to you to download a few of these free softwares. Do your research, try a couple and see what you think. But basically, whatever software you go for, it's going to look similar in some regards. There's going to be a timeline. And when you look at that timeline, there's going to be a divider. Typically, all of the timeline rows under that divider are your audio channels, and all of the timeline rows above that are your video channels. So if we drop on this file that I'm filming at the moment onto the timeline, you will see there is one video channel and one audio channel, and they're both linked together. If you drag it along, the audio and the video channels stick together side by side. And really, you can do a lot of things with this sort of arrangement. If you drop another video onto the layer above, you will see it appears on the timeline, and so does the audio with that. So when you're filming a video, you need to think about how you're going to lay it out in your video editing software. So yes, that's really all there is to it. You've got to be comfortable with yourself. You've got to have basic equipment. You've got to know what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, and you don't want to waste people's time. So really, I'm guilty of this, but try and keep your videos as short as possible. If they're under 20 minutes or under 10 minutes, you're going to get a lot more views than say a half an hour or a 40-minute epic film. Even though I like to do that, my views are always impacted because people open it and see, shit, 40-minute runtime, I'm not going to commit to that. They'll back straight out and watch something else. So it's really finding the balance, finding what sort of content you want to provide and film, and then going out and filming it. And if you're putting in the effort and you have the enthusiasm and you're willing to stick with it for a couple of years, I absolutely guarantee you will have success. It's just all of those things together. You might have the enthusiasm initially, but if you're not getting the views and you just decide to pack it in, then you're absolutely not going to succeed. Take me, for example, right? I filmed a video about a Ford NC Fairlane, and it's an Australian car that we had here that wasn't available anywhere else in the world. And I was thinking for years, I wanted to film a video about this car. I wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I was too self-conscious, I was too nervous. And it took me until late 2018 to actually film it and put it online. And that video, I reckon for the first 6 months, it only got up to maybe 2,000 or 3,000 views. I was pretty happy with that. I think I had about 100 subscribers. 6 months, 100 subscribers. That is absolutely nothing. So slow, so frustrating, and I was really despondent. I didn't film another video for that past... got a bird sitting on my camera. Get off. Yeah, I didn't film another video for that entire 6 months because I was like, maybe YouTube is not for me. But then suddenly, if you have a look at this graph that I'll put on screen, it went from only a few thousand views to about 170,000 views in the space of about 3 days. It just suddenly, the YouTube algorithm suddenly grabbed it and it just went like that, skyrocketed literally overnight or over a couple of nights. And all of a sudden I was thinking, yes, I'm in with a chance. So really, my advice to you when you're starting out is your video is probably not going to be successful straight away. But what you need to do is think about it as a ticket in a lottery or a share in the stock market. It might not go up in value or you might not win straight away, but the more tickets, the more shares you have in that lottery or in that stock market, the more chances you have of succeeding. And if you've got 100 videos, but only 100 subscribers, if one of your videos suddenly goes crazy, the rest of your channel is going to benefit from all those other videos that people may come and watch after they've watched that one that's been successful. And perhaps the final thing to consider is, what are your motivations for doing YouTube in the first place? If you're doing it to become famous and to become successful and to become rich, you're probably going to be disappointed. So you really need to be doing this as a hobby for the fun, because even when you reach 1,000 subscribers and you're able to monetize your channel, It's not going to be a lot of money. And even later, at 20,000 like I am, it's still not a lot of cash. You can't go and quit your job and go and do anything like that. So do understand that there's only a small amount of people that can make it to where I am, and then an even smaller amount that make it to 100,000, a million, and so on. Especially since YouTube has been around for such a long time, there are a lot of people making content about almost any topic you can think of in the world. So no matter what, if it's about cars, if it's about knitting, if it's about mowing the lawn, if it's to do with knitting, or I think I said that already, or sex toys or something random, there are going to be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, or if not millions of people already filming videos on their own channels about these topics. So you need to think about what makes you special, or what separates you from those people. So these are all things you need to think about. So that's about it, guys. I'll finish up with a couple of thoughts here, because I think YouTube and filming videos in general is a really interesting thing. Take me, for example, right? I'm someone who is an introvert. I really love being by myself or being at home with the family. I hate crowds. I hate public speaking. But I can quite easily sit here and talk to a camera and film a video that I know thousands of people are going to watch. But really, there is that separation between me and you, which is through that camera. So if I was talking and in a stadium to 20,000 people, which is how many people are subscribed to my channel, I would almost die. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I would be sweating bullets and I would be a gibbering mess. So think about that. You don't have to be bold. You don't have to be an extrovert in order to do what I'm doing right now. Anyone, I think, can do it. As long as you're comfortable with yourself, and as long as you're comfortable with putting yourself out there on the public stage. Once you put yourself out there, it's really hard to get it back again. So keep that in mind, but don't let me scare you. YouTube is a really cool hobby, and I wouldn't take it back for anything. I want to do this for the rest of my life. It might not be about cars forever, but it might be about anything. Who knows where I'm going to end up? And you also don't know where you're going to end up either. So keep it in mind. Think about what you really love. What is your most favorite thing in the world? What do you love doing? What do you love talking about? What do you just start talking about and then you just can't shut up about it? That is the topic that you should run on your channel. If you've got any questions or comments, let me know below. I would love to help you out, especially if you're an Australian who is passionate about Australian cars like I am. We desperately need more content on YouTube, looking at these humble beasts that we made here in our country. So thank you very much, guys. I really hope this video helped. If you loved it, throw me a like, subscribe to the channel, check out some of the car videos I've filmed. Might even give you some hints on what you can film yourself. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.